It is the policy of the United States to provide, within constitutional limitations, for fair housing throughout the United States. 42 U.S.C. Paragraph 3601. The Federal Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in residential real estate transactions. 42 U.S.C. 3601 et seq. 24 CFR 100.1 et seq. The Fair Housing Act prohibits the following as based upon race, religion, color, national origin, sex, familial status, national origin, or handicap, the protected classes. Discrimination based on handicap. Since discrimination based on handicap is the most common claim, it is particularly important to understand the definition of handicap pursuant to the Act. A handicap is defined as a mental or physical impairment that substantially limits at least one major life activity, a record of such impairment, or being regarded as having such an impairment. 42 U.S.C. Paragraph 3602H. Handicap does not include the current illegal use of or addiction to a controlled substance. However, a dwelling is not required to be made available to an individual if the tenancy would result in a direct threat to the health and safety of others, or would result in substantial physical damage to the property of others. 42 U.S.C. Paragraph 3604 F. 8 real-life fair housing violations, reprinted with permission of Realtor R. Online Magazine. 1. Refusing to sell or rent a property or discouraging a potential buyer or tenant because of a person's protected class status. Don't say, "This 2-bedroom condominium is just too small for you and your 3 children. Plus, there's no playground nearby." 2. Using different provisions in leases or sale contracts, such as those relating to rental charges, security deposits, lease terms, down payment, and closing requirements because of a person's protected class status. Don't say, "Because you only moved to this country from Japan a little while ago, the sellers may be uneasy about your ability to secure a mortgage. I suggest you make a larger earnest money deposit to help convince them of your interest and ability to close." Box title, style, default, box, color, 3 title, color, FF, radius, 3, class, content box. Quick quiz, fill in the blank, refusing to, DBM FIT B answer, sell, or rent a property, or discouraging a potential buyer or tenant because of a person's protected class, DBM FIT B answer, status. Box 3, urging residents to sell or rent their properties, often at bargain prices, by suggesting that members of a protected class are likely to move into the area and have a negative impact on property values. This violation is called blockbusting. Don't say, "You know, the people who live in this neighborhood aren't the same Polish immigrants who lived here when you bought this house 30 years ago. It's just not safe for you to walk around alone anymore. Maybe you should consider selling now while you can still get a good price for your house." 1. Restricting a person's choices to perpetuate segregated housing patterns based on membership in a protected class, taking African American families, for example, only to predominantly African American neighborhoods. Don't say, "I know how important it is for you to find a church congregation you can belong to. Let me show you 2 houses near the African American Baptist Church on 2nd. I think that church would suit you." 2. Providing false information on the availability of a property for sale or rental based on a person's protected class status, even if that information is based on the owner's desires. Don't say, "There's no point in your showing the Smiths' house to that Hispanic couple. The Smiths will never sell to them." 3. Refusing to provide information on the availability of loans or other financial assistance, or providing information that is inaccurate or different because of a person's membership in a protected class. Don't say, "Mr. Hernandez, I think your best bet is to go to a mortgage broker for a loan. It'll be more expensive, but they're more likely to accept your application." 4. Using an appraisal that improperly takes into consideration the protected classes in estimating property value. Don't say, "See if you can get the value of the property as high as you can. She's an old lady, and this house is her only asset, so I want to get her a really good price." 5. Relying on illegal covenants or provisions that preclude the sale or rental of a dwelling to a person because of membership in a protected class. Don't say, I'd love to show you the house in this development, but the restrictive covenants wouldn't allow you to build the entry ramp you need for your wheelchair. Wheel title. Using an appraisal that improperly takes into consideration the protected classes in. Phrase, estimating property value. Tip. You never know when your fair housing practices are being tested. Testers from the government or private groups can pose as home seekers, and their evidence is fully admissible in court. TIP. The courts have determined that a violation of the Fair Housing Act may be proven even if there was no intent to discriminate if there is evidence of a discriminatory effect. Note: this article is of a general nature and may not be updated or revised for accuracy as statutory or case law changes following the date of first publication. Further, this article reflects only the opinion of the author, is not intended as definitive legal advice, and you should not act upon it without seeking independent legal counsel.